Hello, this is Akim Hamlet, iTech 285, Client Server Technology, and in this tutorial we'll be installing an FTP server. An FTP server uses the file transfer protocol, which is a protocol that is used to transfer files from one host to another over a TCP-based network, like HTTP or POP or SMTP, whatever, any TCP-based network. Right, so the first thing we have to do is we have to make sure that on your server machine, which will be holding the FTP server, that the service for file transfer protocol is enabled. Alright, now what you have to do is go to Start menu and search for services. Okay, and it'll most likely come up. It'll be the first result. Mine's already up already. Okay, and you're looking for FTP or whatever the name of the program that you're using. FTP servers, right? And you're making sure that the status is started. Okay. Next thing is your FTP software. There's a lot out there. There's Cross FTP and others, both free and paid. But for this tutorial we'll be using FileZilla. Okay. So let's open my control panel, which is already running. On my control panel, where is it? Right. Okay, and I'm starting it. As you can see here, I'm logged on. Now, the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you have users to use your file transfer protocol server. Okay, so you're going to edit users, and you can create users. Okay, you could enable the account, set passwords, and whatnot. You can set shared folders for each user. Okay, which folders they could read, write, access, delete, whatnot. Okay, and you set speed limit, download speed limits for the specific users, depending on your bandwidth and whatnot. Then there's the IP filter, which basically bars whatever IPs that you want from your FTP server. Okay, so make sure you have users. Right, next is setting up the folders that you want the users to access. Okay, one thing you have to make sure that there always has to be a home directory for each user. Right, usually home directory will be one that they could read and write and delete and append to and whatnot. And on the other files you just have whatever user restrictions that you want. Okay, so testing out the server. So now we just go to our browser to test out the server. Okay, now that the browser is up, the first thing that you will want to do is figure out your IP address. If you're using the same machine for the client and the server, you'll have to find your private IP address. If you want to access the FTP server from across the internet, you'll have to know your public IP address. Now, your private IP address will be something like 192.168 something, or 172.16. something, or 10.0.0.0, something like that. Okay, so how you figure that out? You're going to command prompt and using the command ipconfig. Okay, you check which interface you're connected to the internet to, and you will find your IP address. So this is the interface I'm using here. This is the interface I'm using here, and this is what we will use to access the FTP server. Okay, just let me write that down. Okay, so we go back to the browser, and what you're typing into the browser is FTP, which is the protocol. FTP, which is the protocol, / and the IP address. 07. And As you can see here, username password is needed. Okay, so let's type in Andre. Okay, submit. And as you can see here, these are the files that the particular user credentials that I typed in is privy to. It will vary from user to user, hopefully, and good client server practice will be that they'll be able to read the files and retrieve the files, but they wouldn't be able to edit the files. Okay, and as you can see here, I will access it from a private network. So now we're going to do a public network. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video, and now for this part of the video, we're going to access the FTP server over the internet. So for this, now you have to know the IP address of the file transfer protocol server. Right, and since it's the same machine, I will go back to my IP config, run another IP config, okay, and get my public IP address, which is 1 minute. Good. 190.123.173.214. Okay, so just doing the very same procedure. FTP :// 190.213.173.214. Okay, and we should get the same result. As you can see here, same result, user password and credentials needed. Type it in very quick. And bam. Same thing. And usually what people like to do is I like to put in the :21 at the end. The :21 at the end. But it doesn't really matter. As long as you have the new protocol before the IP address, it will most likely know which port to enter the server through. And yeah, that's about it. That's an FTP server for you. Right.